Between Prince Harry and Britain's tabloid press is entering a new phase after lawyers finish laying out all the evidence in the alleged phone hacking case. The prince testified for more than 7 hours over Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. He zeroed in on 33 articles written about him that had information that he says the paper could only have gotten by hacking his phone. The newspaper denies the claims. Now, Prince Harry and 3 others sued the Mirror Group publisher newspapers, accusing the publisher of a large-scale phone hacking scheme involving dozens of public figures and celebrities dating back to Harry's childhood. The judge is expected to rule on the case within the next few weeks, and joining us now is former aide to a member of the royal family, Robert Shooter, with the inside scoop on all of this. All right. Prince Harry spent 2 days, up until the end of the day yesterday, painting a very painful picture about what it's like to grow up in the glare of the tabloid press. But did he provide any evidence that they were hacking his phone?
That's ultimately what this is going to come down to. So you're right, it was a fascinating couple of days, sometimes a little whiny, sometimes very emotional. I think that when he was most successful is when he was talking about being a child. I was a child when this happened, and so he really pulled at my heartstrings. However, did he provide any evidence? And the answer, I think, from somebody who has watched every minute of this trial is no, I don't think he did. However, the judge had a very, very interesting question. When a judge jumps in and asks you to follow up on something or to elaborate, you know where they are going. And what he wanted to know is that when Harry's phone misoperated, when there was some glitches on the phone, Harry thought that he had been hacked, and the judge wanted to nail down on that.
Harry specifically said that the phone would show voicemail messages as having been listened to. Like, we all know what it looks like on our phone when there's a new voicemail message.
Right.
And he said, well, there were voicemail messages on my phone that I, in fact, hadn't listened to. So therefore, somebody hacked in my phone and listened to them instead. The problem is, how do you prove that?
It's almost impossible to prove, and Harry...
Or disprove.
Or disprove, but Harry undercut himself throughout by saying there were many nights when he went out and drank so much he wouldn't remember whether or not he had listened to those messages. So he was not a great witness. I also think, too, because of who he is, he's not somebody who's used to answering questions. This is a person who asks a lot of questions, but nobody's actually sort of sat down with him, particularly for 8 hours, and demanded answers. So he was uncomfortable with it, not a great witness, and unfortunately, I don't think he proved this.
Right. He wasn't doing an interview with Oprah where he could refuse to answer a question, or she, you know, this was a merciless prosecutor, or actually lawyer for the publishers. Okay, is he going to be hurt at all by the fact that on the stand he had to admit that something that he wrote about in his memoir that's only been out a few months, came out late last fall, was false?
Right. This is very complicated. So once we lose faith, once we lose trust in a celebrity, they become the boy that cries wolf. And this is a narrative now that seems to be emerging. There were several things in the Oprah interview that were just not true. Recently, here in New York City, they claimed they were in an almost catastrophic car accident. That turned out to not be true either.
Or at least hyperbole.
Yes.
It was embellished.
Embellished. And now it looks like something in his book. He has disproven himself on the stand. So I think over time, you don't have to be a prince to be this. Somebody that doesn't tell the truth very often.
He said, well, I've now learned that's not true. That book's been out only a couple of months. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna add up. I've worked with a lot of celebrities, and once people stop believing you, it really is the beginning of the end.
This is one of 7 lawsuits that Harry and Meghan have filed against the British media claiming invasion of privacy. Does it undermine their case that their privacy has been invaded when they have been out there on an Oprah interview, on a Netflix docuseries, in a memoir, in a 60 Minutes interview?
Right, it goes,
I mean,
right.
It does go to the whole question of, really?
Yes, absolutely. No, the answer to this is yes, and lawyers have been pointing that out every chance they get. What sort of privacy does anybody deserve? And that's a really fundamental question. And what is in the public's interest? What does the public want to know? And then add on top of that, you do interviews, you do release books, you do documentaries. So this is a very complicated issue. However, it seems to me as if it's something to debate rather than to take legal action over, because that is very difficult to prove.
They want to control the public narrative. And guess what? We all do.
Right.
President Biden does,
right.
you know, Richie Sunak does. We all do, and no one gets to.
No, well, you can't get to pick and choose, and celebrities know this. And I think at the moment it's fair to say they're probably the two most famous people in the world. They're certainly up there. And I think that celebrities always want to have it their own way. And once you allow people into your life, it's very hard to close that door. Harry would argue he never made that choice. It was made for him.
And it's true.
Yes.
And you don't think he's going to win?
I don't think he's going to win. I don't think that he proved the case. It's a really hard case to prove. As somebody who works in the entertainment business, sources come from everywhere. Yeah. There are sources that hear stuff, and it's not who you tell, it's who they tell. And I describe it as dropping a stone into a puddle, and it's ripples. And by the 8th circle, it gets to somebody like me. It's very, very rare that it's direct. So, Harry, I think this is a really difficult case to prove, and I'm surprised, actually, that his advisors let it go this far.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.